What are your opinions related to term limits for town board commission and for the town mayor? And do you feel the mayor should be a full-time and salaried position?
This is probably really easy for me to say as a rookie, but I do believe in term limits for both positions, for the mayor and for the commissioners. I believe that there should be a limit of 4 terms, and I think that creates a sense of urgency. If you at max have 16 years to accomplish something for the town, to make your impact, I think that could get projects moving a little faster, and keep us motivated to make that full impact in the short time that we have to serve. I also feel like if you make it to your last term, it would be a great opportunity knowing in your 4th term that this is the last one. I feel like a commissioner should have, or the mayor should have, a responsibility to maybe find some people to mentor and to encourage to step into leadership in town government going forward. And this could help ensure smooth transition. This could keep young people engaged in town government instead of thinking, oh, well, they're elected and they're going to be there for 30 years. Why should I even try? I think that term limits would encourage people to continue to get involved. And also, like I say, with the mentorship, I think that would be really important for people to learn about campaigning, about how commissioners prepare for meetings. What do they look for, and how do they interact with the town government, introduce them to key players. So I think term limits would be a good thing. And as far as the mayor being a full-time salaried position, I don't know that a town our size needs that. I think that the mayor's position obviously is very valuable. It's a key position. But my concern would be that with the last mayoral election, there were only 2 candidates running. And if the fact that it is not a full-time paid position is going to keep people from running, then we should consider that as a town. Is that a barrier to getting people engaged to want to throw their name in the hat and run for mayor? So I'm a little on the fence with that one, and just considering the pros and cons. There's definitely positives and negatives to both sides, but that's where I'm at right now.
Again, it's easy for me to say because if I'm lucky enough to be elected, it'll be my first term. But I do think term limits have value. And let me just say, and whether or not it's 3 terms or whatever the term is, the term number. But what I will say is that we live in a very small community, as we all know. Finding people not only willing and able to be a town commissioner is not a simple task. There's been many elections that I've been here for where the incumbents ran and nobody else ran. So we also have to take that into account. But I do think there should be term limits, and then the hybridized version is possibly you sit out for 1 term and you can come back. I mean, you can try it again if you'd like to, because I do realize, we only have such a, certain size pool to draw from. But I just think that it makes sense. I use this as an example. As a project manager, a lot of architecture firms and architects, project managers, kind of want to keep interior designers at bay because they feel their ego can't handle that additional input. And my point about that is I love bringing in interior designers early. I love bringing in contractors early because fresh eyes, new visions are important. And I look at the town commission as the same thing. Bringing some new people in periodically is a good thing. As far as the mayor goes, I thought about this one a lot. It's interesting. This is the only question that we got this time. No offense to anyone, sorry. But it's the only question we got on this entire panel that we haven't been asked by papers or other sources. This is the only question. And what I will say about that, obviously the other questions everybody wants to know about, but what I'll say about the mayor is many years ago, and I don't know if it's been 15, 16 years, 14 years, more than that, I don't remember, but that we went to the manager board system rather than the department heads to the board. And I thought that was a little bit inefficient. I love the idea of having a town manager. I think Josh Ward has done very well for us currently in many ways. Again, he's a young guy. First, it was his second time as town manager, but came from a smaller community. So from that standpoint, the manager should manage the town. The mayor, I do think they should, however, I do think the mayor should get paid a little bit more, but not a full-time salaried position. Buck Trott kind of was the initiator of making that a full-time job. And certainly his son-in-law has followed in that suit. I mean, Pat Taylor has made it a full-time job, absolutely. But I think we let the manager manage, and we let the mayor do what he does. I mean, he does great things for this town, regardless of who it is. But like I said, I think they should get paid a little bit more, but I do not think it's a full-time salary position. As a matter of fact, the mayor having an office in Town Hall, if I'm not mistaken, the first one was Buck Trott. Prior to that, I don't think they actually had a designated office. So, and I'm not saying that there shouldn't be. I'm just saying that it's not been that way, and that's even back when the mayor actually had more duties directly with running and governance of the town and running of people than they do today because of Josh Ward. So, from that standpoint, like I said, I don't think it should be a full-time salaried position.
Okay, so about 13 years ago, Highlands moved to a manager-council form of government. And so the point of that was to take the day-to-day operations and put that on a manager. So it's kind of funny to think back before that. I guess, Buzz, did you ever run a department? Like, 'cause years ago, it was like each commissioner had a department, which is scary to me. But anyway, absolutely scary.
Yeah.
But as the role of running the town became more dynamic and more diverse and everything, it was decided that it'd be better left putting the responsibility on a town manager, and that's exactly what happened about 13 years ago. And I think it was probably one of the best decisions the town could have made. So, as far as the mayor goes, most of you may remember back in 2013, I ran for mayor against Pat Taylor, and he beat me pretty good. And so I didn't know that after that he would actually become one of my closest allies, I guess you could so to speak. So it's not that we agree on everything; we disagree on a lot. But the guy's done a remarkable job, and as Jeff said, he has made it a full-time job. So, I think that's great. So, you see him at town board meetings, and what you don't see is all the meetings he voluntarily attends. You don't see him, he goes to Raleigh a couple times a year, and then I think he's even been to Washington a time or two. And then his communication efforts. I mean, Matt up here can tell you more than that, but his videos, the columns he writes. I mean, he puts a couple hours into writing those columns every week, and then coffee with the mayor, for example. So, in short, the next mayor, whenever that'll be, is going to have some big shoes to fill in terms of following Pat, and particularly if that individual has a full-time job, it's going to be even tougher. So, in my opinion, though, I'm so grateful for Pat's service to this town, but all that said, the mayor should not be a full-time paid position. It should be left to somebody that has a passion for the community and the time and the desire to do it. But I think that now that we have this manager council form of government, I think it's up to that individual mayor to make the job what he wants it to be. And I think sometimes there's going to be times where that requires more work. There's times when it requires less work. So I think that's just the nature of that job. As far as term limits go, right now I would be opposed to term limits, but that's not to say somebody couldn't give me a good enough argument as to why term limits are a good thing, and you may even change my mind. But I just always felt voting is the best way to turn over board members. So, as long as a majority of the citizens are voting for a particular board member, then that means that those citizens are happy with the direction the town's going and happy with the job they're doing. So, and then also, I'll say that we've had elections in the past where commissioners ran unopposed. So I think having term limits would do the town a disservice in those types of towns, given the size of the town of Highlands. So I would be right now, like I said, I'd be opposed to term limits, but that's not to say if I knew a good enough argument of why we needed them that I couldn't change my mind.
All right. At this time, I was thinking I was more like Rachel and Jeff. I think term limits are kind of a good idea. I do like the idea of being able to roll off after a few, after you serve a couple of terms, and if you wanted to run again, you're welcome to do so. I think that's kind of a good idea. I love the idea of a mentorship where you could have people that are coming in. I do feel like we're not getting our younger people involved as much in Highlands, including boards for nonprofits, everything. We need to definitely get a lot of more participation from our younger population. The mayor being a full-time paid position, I felt like Pat really does make it a full-time position, and he does not get paid enough for what he's doing. But as far as we won't be able to attract someone unless we did make it a full-time. I mean, younger people who need to make a living. But I do like the fact what you said about it. It is, Highlands may not need, because of the manager system, we may not need a full-time mayor, and that's one I'm still up in the air about. I would have to look at it closer over the next couple of weeks to see what I think about that. But I do think we've had a lot of great mayors that have come through here and really done a whole lot for this town, and I appreciate everything that they've done. I'm going to keep it short and sweet.
I'll keep it even shorter than that. I think in a small town of, count them, 1,013 registered voters, every election is a term limit.
Yeah, that's true.
If you don't like what's going on, boot them out, and I'm all for that. From the municipal level all the way to Washington, be that as it may. Do I think the mayor should be a full-time salaried position? Absolutely not. Candidates that run for mayor need to be motivated by a love for Highlands, not the money. And at some point, the mayor's position is going to be motivated by money. We've got a town manager that does a fabulous job. We're going to have to pay the mayor a lot more than we pay the town manager, and the town manager is already, I think, well compensated. So, to draw candidates for mayor, we're going to be, if we make it a paid position, we're essentially going to be drawing from people who don't live here. So, that being said, I think our current mayor has done a fabulous job. He's invested more time advocating and uplifting Highlands than any one mayor I can remember. He's, as Brian has said, he's gone out of his way to make this his passion, really. And that's the kind of people we need. That's the kind of people we should be looking for. That's the kind of people we should be voting for. I'm with Brian. I certainly don't agree with him a fair amount of the time, but I'm kind of like Brian. Didn't run against him, but he has become really someone that I look to as a person that's dedicated, that has the heart of Highlands, always at the forefront, and that's what we need to have going into the future.